Hello everyone and a very warm welcome. In this particular tutorial, we'll focus on Microsoft Forms and how we can use Power Automate to save the form responses into a SharePoint list. Before we dive into Power Automate, we first need to understand a little bit about forms. Forms are of two main types. I call it My Forms. They are saved in your OneDrive. And then there is a group form which is saved in your SharePoint. Forms can be of various types. It can be feedback, it can be registrations, it can be research, it can be quizzes. In fact, Microsoft provides you a large number of templates that you can go ahead and use. For this particular demo, I'm going to go ahead and use a template. I'm going to use a registration template. And from this registration template, I can select the community volunteer registration template. If you look at this registration is pretty good. In fact, it's excellent. And here I have got few questions which needs to be answered. So what I can see is the data is you need to pass in the name. This is text. You need to pass in the phone number, email address, multi-line of text, similarly choices, multiple choices, and at last there is a question. What I can do is if I don't want something in the form, I can just click on it and I can hit delete and it goes away. If I need something in the form, I can simply add a question. So let's quickly see the question types that it provides. It provides choices, text, ratings, sections, dates, ranking. And most importantly, you can upload files as well. So let's go ahead and upload files out here. So I'll say upload. And how many files I want the user to upload? I want the user to upload 2 files, and the files should be, and a single file should be 10 MB. It can go up to 100 MB and 1 GB, right? But we'll keep it small. And we can set it to required. At this point, I am happy with the form and I can preview my form, and this is what it would look like. So let's start filling up the form. So I'll click on Start and I can fill up this form pretty quickly. I'll say Clavin. I'll put in some dummy phone number, say clavin@clavin.com. I'll just say random. I'm just filling out some random values right now, and I'll upload a random attachment. And I have uploaded an attachment. At this point, I can click on Submit and the response will be submitted. So what I want to do is I can go back to Forms and my form is saved out here. If you see, this is a private form. If I click on it right now and I can go to View Responses, I can click on Open Result in Excel. And where is the file uploaded? It is uploaded to my OneDrive. So if you see, this is the path where it is uploaded. It gives you the exact path. It goes into my OneDrive in the Documents folder. There's an Apps which has got another folder, Microsoft Forms, Community Registration, and then it has got the file in it, right? It has got question and file in it. So if I quickly navigate to my OneDrive, go to my files, so it's under apps. So first and foremost, the Excel is saved out here. Just a minute ago, the Excel that we opened, it told me it's in apps, it's in Microsoft Forms. This is the name of my form, question, and this is the file that is created. It appends it with Clavin Fernandez, right? It appends it with my name. So this is my form, or this is a personal form. So if I go back, and what I can do is I can actually move it to a group. So what does move it to a group means? It's no longer a personal form. It's going to be moved to a group or a SharePoint team site. In this case, I will move it to a SharePoint site known as MSTF. So it's moved. Now you see that it has got 1 responses. And what I can do is I can close some windows out here, and I'll click on this form again, and let's fill in this form. Let's collect a response, copy link, paste it here, start filling this form again. This time I will say Fernandez. I'll say 888, something like this. I'll just say Clavin at Clavin. Please describe health limitation. Sick. I'll just say sick. I have a medical license. I'll just select few things, and here I will again upload a file. The file is getting uploaded, and I'll hit submit. So let's go ahead and submit and look at the form, or look at the submission. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click out here. I'm going to view form responses. It shows me 2 responses. I'll say open the result in Excel. And if you see, as I moved it to a SharePoint form, you see that it now tells me that it's in a SharePoint site and it's in the MSTF site. If we look at the attachments are no longer in my site. The attachments are in the SharePoint site. Where is it in the SharePoint site? It's in the site Shared Documents, Apps, Microsoft Forms, Community, the name of my form, Uploads, etc. So let's quickly go in there. It's going to go to Shared Documents first, and then we'll navigate through manually. So here it is. So firstly, you see a minute ago this was created. Apps, Microsoft Forms. This is the registration form that I just created. If you see, it's updated, upload, and if you see, it has gotten attachments, and it is like 2 minutes ago. So this is the part of the attachments. So I hope that it is clear to you the difference between a Microsoft form, or my form, versus a group form. Now we have the basics covered. What we are going to do is we are going to go ahead and collect these attachments, collect the form response, and put it into a SharePoint list. To save up some time, I have pre-created the SharePoint list. If you look at the SharePoint list versus the Microsoft Forms, the questions are here. Okay, it has got all question types. For example, try to go ahead and add an item. You see that, let me dog this side by side. Just give me a minute, so it becomes much more clearer to you. So let me click on this, and let's look at this side by side, right? So it has got the name, phone number, email address. Please describe health limitations that you have. It's a multiple line of text. You see, do you have medical license, hold a medical license? You have 3 options here. Similarly, if I click here, you have the similar 3 options. So it's a choice column. And here, a range of programs. That's also here, a range of programs. It has got all the options out here, including option choice 6, which is others. We can change that, but you get the gist. And available for volunteering. This is here, right? It has got all the 3 options. And here you see that there is an attachment option as well, which will upload the files. So this is a replica of this. I just created columns out here. Now, what task I have in hand? I want to save the responses, or save a response with the attachment into this particular SharePoint list, which is as of now empty. So to do that, let's quickly create a Power Automate. So here I am in make.powerautomate.com, and I'm going to create an automated flow. So I'll click here on automated flow, and I'll select the trigger when a new response is submitted. So this is an MS form trigger. And what I'm going to do is, it tells me that it has invalid input, so I need to pick up my form. Now, one thing that you would see, that group forms are not usually visible out here. Don't panic, it's not a problem. We can go back to the form, and we can say collect response. Okay, and I can copy this link and paste it here. And to this, I have an ID out here. I just need to copy the ID, go back to my Power Automate, say enter a custom value, paste it in. As soon as I paste it in, the error is gone. Next, what I want to do is, I want to say Microsoft Forms, and I want to collect the response detail. Again, the same thing. I have the ID copied, and I want to pass it the identifier out here. I can click on plus, click on action, and what I'm going to do is add a compose as of now. Okay, I'll add a compose, and I'll see if I'm getting the values from the form. If you see, it returns me all the questions that are in the form, as well as some extra metadata such as responder email, submission time, and so on. So that's good. First hurdle out of the way. The form is not visible. Give it the ID. Now that we have the ID, what I'm going to do is, we need to fill in the blanks, right? So let's tackle one at a time. What I'm going to do is, going to leave this compose here because that will be our troubleshooting. That will be used for troubleshooting. The first thing, let's start with the most complicated one. Let's start with the attachments. So for the attachments, I'm going to use the compose. Guess why I'm going to use the compose? Because I want to go ahead and have the attachment body out here. So I can click on get response details, and upload is the name of my attachment. And I'm going to give this a meaningful name, saying that sample demo forms. I cannot come up with a better name. I'm sorry for that. I'm going to save it. And I'm going to test it. Okay, I'm going to test this manually. I will go in, copy this link, paste it here, and start filling a response. I'll just give it Clavin. Just say this. Say Clavin@clavin.com. I'll say Clavin.clavin.clavin. No limitations. What do I have? I have neither. I'll go ahead and say donate, provide virtual support. I'm available Monday to Friday. I'm available only on weekends. And I'm going to upload 2 documents, right? I'm going to upload the contract, and I'm going to upload the patent review. So let's say 2 documents, 2 PDFs. The 2 PDFs have been uploaded. I'll hit the submit. If you remember, this will trigger this flow because we have it in the test mode, and it has triggered it. So what we want to see is the output of the compose. I'll copy the output of the compose. I'll go to the notepad, and I'll paste it into notepad. So if I look at this, you see that it has got name, the name of my PDF, right? And it has got 2 objects, 2 JSON objects. If I actually say this is the first one, this is the second one. It has got the name, it has got the URL out here, it has got the URL, the full path of the document, it has got an ID, it has got a reference ID, and so on. So this is meaningful data. But what meaningful data I want from this? I want to first have the name. I also might want to have the link, etc. Can I get this directly? Yes, I might, but the best way to get details out would be to use none other than the parse JSON. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add an action just above it, and I'll say parse JSON. So parse JSON is the action that I'm going to use. I have this out here, and I'm going to copy this. If you have double quotes at the end, please get rid of it. And I'm going to generate a schema out here, and I'll say done. So this gives me the schema, and here I'm going to say upload, right? This is what I need. This is good. This will return me the files. What I want to do is I want to get the file contents out of it so that I can attach it to a SharePoint list item. So let's get that. So I'll say file content, and I'll say get file content using path. Let's keep it simple. I know that it is saved in MSTF. I know where it is saved. It is saved under Documents, Apps, Microsoft Forms, Volunteer Registration Form 1, Upload. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to navigate this manually, and let's get to the folder. Right here, Apps, Microsoft Forms, Volunteer 1, Upload, and I'll select this. What I will do out here is I'm going to do something interesting. I'm going to remove the final part of it, that is the name, and I'll pass the name from the parse JSON action, right? So after upload, just do a / and pass it the body. If you see, it was an array because it had multiple items, so it will loop through the array out here. So it created and apply to each loop. So that's great. Next, what I can do is I can keep it simple. I can say create item. So I want to create the item. And where do I want to create the item? I want to create the item in the SharePoint list. So where is my SharePoint list? My SharePoint list is in the root. And here I can select the list out here, community volunteer registrations. As soon as I click on show now, it will expand me all the questions out here. The title is the name column, so I can simply go back here, click on form details and say name. So maybe there's a data mismatch out here. So what I can do is that click on FX, say string. Maybe this is not of type string, right? And I can say phone number. And I can just say add, right? Let me quickly go and verify that, or else our flow will fail. So be a little bit careful with things. Don't just take things for granted. So I'll just go here, paste it in, and I'm going to go into volunteer registration. I'm going to click on phone number. I'm going to click on column settings, edit. It's of type number. So what we need to do is we need to go back to my Power Automate and say this is not string, this is of type int, integer, and I can pass it the phone number out here, phone number. I can say add, right? Please describe the health limitations. This is of type strings or multi-line text, so this should be fine. Do you hold any medical license or public license? And this one was submit another response. This one was a choice column. So if it's a choice column, it gives you a drop down, but it's pretty simple. You can just click on it and you can pass in the string equivalent of it. So I'll just pass in, do you have current values? Because this is a choice column. The next column that we are going to work on is the multiple choice column, and this is going to be the very interesting one. Let's work with one of them, and the second one you can work on it yourself. But what I want to do, if I want to go ahead and get multiple choice, leave it blank for now. I'll just log it in my compose out here and we'll see the output. So I'm going back, and the multiple choice that we will work on, do you hold a range of programs in your community need volunteer support, right? So we will say we log this. I'm going to go ahead and save this, and I'm going to go ahead and test it with the previous run. So let's quickly do that. So firstly, it created the item, but however, let's quickly go and look at it. If you refresh it, the item has been created. The choice column has also come in, not the multiple choice, a single choice column or a radio. We want to configure this, and we want to configure attachments, right? So to do that, to first configure the multiple choice, I'll go back here and I'll see the output. So it returns me a string type of array, okay? A string type of array, that is what I can call you. And we want to get the individual bits of that array and put it into a multiple choice, which is also an array. So what I'm going to do something very simple. I'm going to add an action and I'm going to say select. So to the select action, I can say array to select form. So I need to pass it an array. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say I have a JSON, right? And this JSON that I have is none other than a range of community volunteers, right? That's what the question was, if I'm not wrong. Yes, that was it. And I'm going to add this above the create action. Okay, so let me drag it and let me add it here. So this is of type JSON. What I want to do, I want to extract the value out of it. So I passed in the JSON that I want to get out. I can just pass it value out of it. And then I can say item, and I'll say add, right? So this looks okay, I guess so. But let me just quickly check. Item, and then I can go into the create item, can say show all, and a range of community. I can pass it the array out here, that is the output of the select, right? Output of the select. But what I see usually when I add this using the new designer, it will add a loop around it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly save my flow. I'm going to go to the old designer and I'll say save and switch. Go to the select item, go to the create item, and I will say click on this icon and pass it the output of the select action, right? So at this point, let's quickly save it and test it. In fact, I don't want to test it manually. I'm just going to say test automatic from a previous run. And I'm going to test it out here. So if I go back into my SharePoint, first we need to see if it succeeds or if it fails. So it succeeded, and for some reason it did not. So let's see what went wrong. So I'll go to create item, and for some reason it did not save my output. So I'm going to go here, going to go to select again, save it, and I'll test with the previous run. Test 2, refresh, and if you see, it actually populated it. So it is here, and it gave me the multiple choices that I selected. So the final piece in the puzzle would be to get the attachments. Now at this point, if you see, I have my select, I have my attachments as file contents out here. So this is excellent. So what I'm going to do is I want to create the item, and once the item is created, I want to add the attachments. So to do that, I'll drag and drop, I'll drag my for each under here, and I'll say add attachments. Add attachments, because attachments are usually created after the item is created. So I have multiple attachments, so I'll quickly select. So I'll select my site address, I'll select my list, I'll pass it the ID, that is the ID from the create item. I want to pass it the file name, so I can pass it the name from none other than parse JSON. So I can just say name. If you see, this is something tricky, and this is something that I think is not right, because it adds an apply to each loop again. So I'll just get rid of this, click out, drag here, say delete. I'll just copy this, the same name, right? Copy this, go to the expression. I don't know why Power Automate does this, but I hate it when it does it. So I'll just say items from for each loop and get me the name, right? That is what I need. So items for each loop name, items for each loop name. And here I can pass it the file content, right? And finally, we can get rid of the compose, which is not at all required right now. So the final thing, before I run it finally, I want to delete everything, and because we have everything set up, even the attachments, and now we'll test the actual run. So fingers crossed, let's test it. So technically, as of now, it has created the item, and it should also add the attachment. So I'll refresh this. Perfect. The item has been created. Can click on it. If I scroll down, I have the attachments as well attached. I'm quickly going to click on it, and the attachments are also visible. I hope this tutorial related to Microsoft Forms and Power Automate has been informative. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.